You know, I've sat through so many meetings where proximity waivers have been discussed. Every business that wants to sell alcohol in here comes in for a waiver. And every single time, they're granted one. We have so many bars in this town right now. It's kind of a joke. So planning and zoning always grants these waivers. And not to do so, it probably would be selective enforcement at this point. You can't turn one person down when you've allowed everybody else to have a waiver. So you're now abrogating more power again to the planning and zoning board to make this approval. And I'm just wondering why you're doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tim?
Peter Tim, and yes, on this one, now if anybody wants to open a bar, all they have to do is go to the historic board. Why the historic board is beyond me. I know I didn't elect anybody on that one. And the only ones that have to come before you is the package goods people, if they want to open up a package store. We seem to be delegating all of our authorities to other people so it could be handled behind the scenes and not brought out in the light of day. I too agree that we have too many bars on that block and in Lakewood. So I don't think we need any more. We should have stricter regulations, not more leniency. Don't talk to it. Good drinker, let me tell you. Like,
Thank you. Just to follow up, all meetings of the Planning and Zoning Board and Historic Resources Preservation are public meetings with public records, number one. Number two, a lot of these restaurant and bar, quote, waivers have related to the downtown, and that was one of the items that we had discussed. Mr. Waters, would you like to comment on that? Thank you.
We've already changed the ordinance about 2 years ago where proximity waivers were not required for restaurants in the downtown. And under state statute, we've made some changes where under state statute, if a restaurant that has a 4 COP SRX license, which is 2,500 square feet, or 150 people for seating, they automatically have a alcohol license, whether we give them a proximity waiver or not. So we brought into compliance our code with police Florida statute. For the direction of the city commission, we moved package sales to you for approval, and we've also included criteria which we can deny, which were not very clear before, a request for a proximity waiver, which is now being reviewed by either the preservation board or the planning and zoning board, depending on where it's located.
Excellent. Vice Mayor?
I think that in a real sense, we are strengthening our oversight, if you will, on the amount of alcohol establishments in the city. You've heard me say it probably a dozen times. I'm concerned. It seems like every time I turn around, there's another package store, another opportunity to sell, and we really need to, get a grip on what we've got here and limit. And from my pride, I speak only for myself, of course, but I'd like to see, a slowing, if you will, of the number of package stores and convenience stores here in the city.
Exactly. It's again one of those situations where we're just creating the ordinances to put them in place so we'll have the ability to regulate in the future. Okay, we've got a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
I actually had some comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, let's see your
Before
hand.
the vote came up.
Well, we've got a vote on the floor. How do we handle that, Pam?
You can,
Oh, and the commissioner can make his comments, and if they lead to anyone deciding to make a motion to reconsider,
We can change the motion. Okay, Commissioner McBoyd?
thank you.
I agree with the concern that's been expressed by various people, and I've heard it from people who aren't here now, that we seem to be leaning heavily toward bars. I'm not sure that I understand, and maybe too much so, I'm not sure that I understand the Vice Mayor's comment that this ordinance increases our oversight, so I would be grateful for a little bit from anybody who can offer it. How does this increase our oversight and address the concern that's been expressed that, maybe we're getting a little heavy on the bar side of things?
Vice Mayor?
I interpret this as, number one, as William just said, by law, by statute. Certain bars or certain restaurants can automatically set up shop with alcohol without our blessing. They can just do it.
Right.
So why bring it to us if they can do it anyway? So we're cleaning up our ordinances to do that. As far as the package stores, it will give us a greater opportunity to focus on those type of businesses that are coming in and really narrow our focus on how many do we have, where are they, and are they really going to be a benefit to the community? And I think that is where I was coming from, and again, that's a personal opinion.
Commissioner McGuinn?
Yeah, just follow up on that. I'm totally on board, and I think all of us would be that there's no point us having an ordinance that doesn't mesh with the state one. If the state trumps us, fine. So I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But the concern that I've heard from the community has not been so much about package stores, although there may be a concern about that, but I haven't heard that much about it, but I have heard it about bars, and I kind of had the impression that you were suggesting that this increased our oversight, and I don't see that happening. Am I
Mr. Waters?
missing something?
Mr. Waters?
Keep in mind that we do have zoning districts that allow bars by right or under a special land use. And it seems contrary to be able for the zoning board or the historic preservation board to give a conditional land use for a bar, but then in turn cannot give the appropriate license to actually sell the liquor. So now we have the ability to review both things in tandem, both the conditional land use for the bar as well as the distance waiver that may be required in order to sell the alcohol in the first place. We have additional criteria are now in the ordinance by which we could justify not granting one, which was not there before. Also, it was the direction of the city commission. They did not like to see all of these because most of them were fairly routine. They were not going to cause a problem. What you wanted oversight on, which we didn't have before in any way, was the 2PS, APS, and the 1P APS package sales, which was normally what grocery stores, how they sell packaged liquor, beer and wine, the grocery stores, pharmacies, and also the liquor stores. You'll see all of those. And we now have stronger criteria which we can base a decision on to deny one. Because Ms. Anderson was correct, it was very loose before, and there basically was almost no justification to deny one. Now we have some criteria we can apply that gives us justification to regulate them more strictly.
And that does sound good, but it seems to be directed at package stores only. And again, I would reiterate that the concern I'm mostly hearing and the request that I'm mostly getting is, hey, could the commission, city commission, not other boards, but the elected city commission, could they do a little bit more oversight on specifically the bar parts of it? And that seems to be being moved out of our purview. I agree with the comment that's been made. Whenever I've heard them here, I've never heard one denied, but I think you're suggesting that we went in the direction of having some more clear criteria, and that seems like good, but it doesn't apply to.
And we can revisit at a later date, but we have not had an application for a bar in the sense of a bar, except for sneakers, which was the day I actually started working here, the day after, which was the 28th of December 2010. We haven't had a request for a bar since I've been here. They've all been restaurants. And under state statute, by the definition, we did not have jurisdiction to deny them anyway.
Okay. Thank you. I feel like we haven't resolved the problem altogether, but maybe we're making slow progress forward.
Commissioner Zerdy?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess really what you're talking about is the use. So the bar is a use, which is a zoning criteria. That's under their purview. It's been in there. If you want to talk about limiting where bars are a use in a specific zone, pretty much they're all in our business zones. I don't know of any other location for them, but you kind of have to treat that very specifically and address that concern in a zoning regulation in the future, right? To have an effect on that.
And they have been addressed in the zoning discussions.
Yes.
Exactly. Commissioner Amoroso?
Just a quick comment. I think it's also a perception, because you had brought up something, Mr. Waters, that you haven't had any bar applications. But we're hearing from the public that there's too many bars. You know, I'm the non-drinker here, and to me a bar is a place that you go and it just has liquor. We have very few of those establishments from what I'm hearing. We have bars and restaurants, and most of the people that have come before us, I don't remember approving any bars. I remember just looking at restaurants that serve liquor.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Got a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? I didn't hear yours. Yes, Mayor? Aye?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.